Today's video is sponsored by W Jitterless Energy Blend, formulated to give you the focus and energy with no jitters or crash. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented Neurofactor, with more than 10 different flavors to enjoy and start your day strong. Are you ready to try W? Visit W.GG today and use promo code ARROWWAN to save 10% on your purchase today.
Let's take a look back into the era of our childhood, when we were growing up with the video game consoles such as the Atari 2600, the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the Game Boy, and much, much more. Relics of our time. Hundreds of games at our local retail stores were being sold and pushed out monthly. Most of the time, new games that were getting pushed out, we knew nothing about and took a gamble on buying them and not knowing if they were worth our buck, or just another one biting the dust. Back in the 1980s and 90s, we had a period of video games that really challenged us and stirred up the special type of rage in all of us. As you know, before the internet swept the world, people relied on other forms of media and news information. Back in those times, we had publications that linked fans between video games and the industry. Every month, some new issue was worth a month's worth of news, previews, reviews, and tips, and all in one package. First, gaming magazines that were published as early as November 1981 with UK's Computer and Video Games, which covered fledgling 8-bit computers such as the Spectrum ZX80 and other glorified calculators. Video game magazine publications hit it big over in the US with the arrival of the Nintendo Entertainment System, with publications such as Nintendo Power, which provided reviews, previews, and upcoming games with screenshots and narratives, tips and tricks on particular titles, and much more. Other companies took note and released other publications, starting in 1989 with Electronic Gaming Monthly, as well as other magazines popping up all over in other countries such as Japan, many parts of Europe, Australia, etc. Even as technology began to advance in the early to mid-1990s with CD-ROM-based software for PCs, the introduction of consoles such as the Sega Saturn, PlayStation, even Sega Dreamcast in 1999, going into the new millennium also, with the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. Gaming magazines then soon incorporated demo CDs packed with said magazines, packed with demos of newly released or upcoming game titles, video interviews, news, even game cheats, which were a thing since the 1980s. However, alongside with gaming magazines came the introduction of video game strategy guides, the first being published in November 1993 as a division of Macmillan Computer Publishing. In 1998, Simon & Schuster, who acquired Macmillan in 1994, divested BRADYGAMES as part of an educational division to Pearson plc. BRADYGAMES has grown to publish roughly 90 to 100 gaming guides per year. From RPGs to first-person shooters to platformers and much more, BRADYGAMES was the name around the household for gamers looking to beat their next gaming challenge with ease. It wasn't until June 1st, 2015, BRADYGAMES merged with PRIMA Games, and the future of strategy guides made by the publishing company were published under the PRIMA Game label, which was sold to Aston Holdings in 2019. Sadly, as of today, it is almost rare or scarce to find strategy guides anywhere, as many gamers take to the internet with platforms such as YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and more, in hopes to learn how to beat their hot new game or acquire 100% for that achievement list to complete or platinum trophy. Today's standards almost feel like a grand accomplishment to see who can 100% a game and being mounted as a life achievement rather than enjoying said game and waiting for comeback for more again. Now, even though I did go into the history almost just about with gaming guides, and there's so much more to cover, but guys, today's video is about gaming guides, and I happen to have acquired a pretty good stack of game guides that I want to share with you guys, just to give you an idea of what guides are out there to collect and such, and where to find them. They are such a gem to have around the house, especially if you're just collecting the books, or if you got that one game that you're trying to beat, and you don't really want to go to the internet. You don't really take to the internet and go to places like YouTube or Twitch or whatever and watch somebody else play it. You want to do it by yourself. But then there's places and spots inside certain video games that can be pretty tricky, and you definitely need a little bit of help, and that's where these guys come in. So guys, let me go ahead and show you this stack of game guides that I have acquired thanks to our buddy Tom, our teammate and buddy Tom, who had a whole bunch of these for so many years, and he had nothing much to do with them, so he gave them to me. I took them, and now I'm going to share them with you. So let's go ahead and see what I got.
Alright, so to skim through a collection of guides that Tom has given me, there are a couple that I did acquire from that place Second Chance Toys that I did a video tour on. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put the link for that down below in the description section. But first off, I paid $20 for this from Second Chance Toys, and this is a copy of Nintendo Power. I was supposed to go back and get a couple more because they did have a few of them there, and I would love to start collecting these too. This one is from March, April 1989. This is an old magazine. So whoever Joseph McQuillan is from Bowie, Maryland, who acquired this in the mail August 1989, you did a really good job trying to preserve this the best you can. There's no wears and tears on this. But yeah, basically these magazines back in the day, they provided game guides within themselves for certain games. This is for like Ninja Gaiden right here. You got the what was this, Adventure Island from Hudson Software. Shooting and Driving, whatever that game is. I've never heard of that game. But there's so many different strategic gameplay strategy guides within these magazines that show, they're like a bunch of tips and tricks for back in the day. So it's like, this is back when they say you had the power in your hands, Nintendo Power, to complete any games. Tips and tricks, strategies. They even came with a list of different games for the consoles, comic strips, reviews, and such. These were always a treat for kids, and even today as adults, you can look through this and be like, "Wow, I can't even believe, like, back in the day, this is what I got. This is pretty fucking cool." By today's standards, you're like, "What the hell is this?" But yeah, Nintendo Power was a big thing back in the day until, you know, other gaming companies and publishers came out with other magazines as well. One little nifty note here, if you notice, back then these magazines were over $3. As today's standards for a magazine is like, what, $10, $12 for a magazine. So yeah, inflation definitely really hit the magazine market. The first game guide I did acquire from Second Chance Toys was GoldenEye, and this was just basically your standard campaign walkthrough for each stage of GoldenEye. It even talks in the very end about some little stuff with the multiplayer mode. Not too much. This is mostly for the campaign, if you have trouble getting through the campaign with different difficulties. And this can be pretty difficult at times. So if you don't have this on hand, you're definitely going to have a little bit of trouble trying to beat the game on 007 mode. And of course, this was done by BRADYGAMES, which is very big for strategic game guides. One that Tom did give me, this is a start of several. This is for Fallout 76. This was brand new. I took the plastic covering off of it just so I could look inside and see what all's in it. And yeah, that's how thick the guide is. So yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, this is a very thick guide. This basically covers the campaign, everything about different perks, different items in the game, the index of the different weapons and such, all the enemies, different areas. And this even comes with a fold-out map that you can hang on the wall or fold it out to your advantage, you know, just look around on there. So this is definitely a nifty little thing. This is an example of when game guides came with stuff that you can pretty much pull out of the book and you can hang it on the wall for, like, you know, decorative detail or whatever. But yeah, game guides like this, they were either hella expensive for what they were. Like this game guide here, I don't even think there's a price on it. Nah, but something like this would go for, like, I don't know, $30 or $40, and the game was like $60 at the time for Fallout 76. Even though it had its quirks with the online, it's definitely still a good pickup. I definitely love it. When it comes to RPGs, you know, nothing compares to Pokemon. So Pokemon had a line of game guides that go along with every single game.
that they had in their series. And of course, with every new game included new Pokemon creatures, new story, new layouts, and this was no exception. So game guides like this talks about, you know, you had the index of different townspeople, you had the walkthrough of the whole game. This one was, let's see, cover your Pokemon in ribbons. So this has everything about the game that you could do in the game, that you could acquire in a game, all the different battles, you know, with all the different gym leaders, and then you got the index of all the different Pokemon from different areas. So that is pretty much like the rest of the guide right there, is all the different Pokemon creatures or evolutions and stuff. And I don't even know what this one is. A data list. So this is pretty much something, I guess it's like if you decide that's something for you to read up on or whatever. But yeah, these game guides right here, and they tell you it's the official Pokemon guide. So this one, yeah, this was actually $20. So that's not a bad deal for a book that thick. For other RPGs, you definitely got game guides for Final Fantasy, which is very big in size. Sometimes games like that can be multiple discs, like, okay, Final Fantasy VIII on PlayStation. 4 discs long, but look how thick the guide is. It's not even that thick, really. So it just covers, you know, basically everything from beginning to end with the game, talking about all the in-game boss battles that you come across. Sometimes there's tips and tricks. This special magazine talks about different items in the game that you can use to your advantage and such. And being this one is a Best Buy exclusive, and certain retailers have certain exclusivity to certain game guides with certain games. Even though it's published by Brady Games, this has an exclusive, which is character cards inside. Right here in the end, there's a bunch of different cards for all the characters in there. The collectible cards, you can leave them in there, or you can cut them out and say, hey, I got collectible cards for Final Fantasy VIII. Something like 10-2 here. Now, this game has been remastered on Xbox and PlayStation. The ports are on several different consoles. So if you definitely pick this up, you could definitely use this for the PlayStation 2 versions, or you can use it for the PS3, Xbox 360, PS4 and such, you know, etc., etc. But yeah, these game guides, you know, they just take you through the whole story. They give you an index of all the characters and such. They're usually good for collecting. When it comes to fighting games, we have Soul Calibur 2, and I'm going to also cover this one as well. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is my personal favorite. I want to say they both are my favorite. I like both of these personally. But when it comes to game guides, strategy guides for fighting games, there's really not a whole lot to them. They just give you a vast statistic library of all the characters in a game and all their fighting moves and the backgrounds and such. So it's basically a dictionary for characters on how to use them, what their moves are, what to do with them. And that's pretty much it. You know, there's really nothing too much to go into when it comes to a game guide for fighting games. You know, Soul Calibur 2 is the same thing. You know, you talk about the different characters, the different commands, the different fighting styles for each character. So if you're into that, if you want to learn more about your characters in these games, you want to learn their moves and everything, if you want to become better at these fighting games, these will probably help you out just a little bit. When it comes to horror-based games or horror-based hack-and-slash games, Devil May Cry, this is another one from Tom. This is done by Prima Games, who's another company who acquired Brady Games in 2015, I think I said. This is the campaign version. You know, they're going through the campaign of the game, talk about different areas and such. So these games, they can be hard as hell. They're from Capcom. They can be pretty difficult. So if you don't have the patience to go through and look for a YouTube video, or can't find a YouTube video in a certain area, game guides like this for certain games like this, it's definitely a go-to. You can definitely pick up on certain areas. If you can read, you know, of course. If you don't feel like, you know, looking at a video, if you can actually read, if you have the time to read certain things, and if you can actually learn it at your own pace. Speaking of horror games, this is Resident Evil 5. Tom took really good care of this book. I actually had this guide when the game first came out, and I used this guide to its fullest extent to beat the game over and over again when it came out. Even you know, looking at the achievements in the back of the guide too, on unlocking the different achievements and trophies on the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360 versions. It also goes into talking about the online, the mercenaries, how to 100% the game and such. So this was definitely worth it back in the day if you had, I think it was like, yeah, $20. So these guides were all $20 back in the day. That's pretty damn good for a game guide. When you buy a $50, $60 game, you buy a $20 game guide for it. And then we got BioShock 1 and 2. I recently did a video on BioShock 2 Collector's Edition that I got from Tom. And this basically takes you through the game as well. I do like the game. It's very, very, what the hell? The environment, you know, the just everything about the game, the atmosphere of the game, everything is truly amazing. These two are beautiful underwater first-person shooter games if you're into horror-based first-person shooters. And especially, you know, these were definitely the go-to. You know, these were like back-to-back. They were quite amazing. The story is brilliant. The game is very beautiful. The game guides, if you are looking to 100% these games, definitely get the game guides. They will help you out in the long run as opposed to watching a video on YouTube or such. Then we got Red Dead Redemption. I still haven't beaten the game, but luckily since Tom gave me the guide for it, I could definitely use this to my advantage. And of course the game does come out with a fold-out map for certain areas too. So if I want to rip that out and use that map to my advantage, I could. So games like this and Grand Theft Auto, definitely worth collecting for if you had the time to read through and collect and do 100% of the game. And then he also gave me Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. These were very, very amazing first-person shooter zombie horror-based games. And you are not complete without these game guides for the games themselves. And then we got, you know, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, which he gave me. I have not played through or beat this game. I think I did the first one, and it was a really good experience for it, a really good story if you're into Star Wars. This one came out back in the 90s when Pokemon Red and Blue came out, and as you can see, it's a hell of a lot more thinner than the Platinum guide that I have. This is straight to the point. Gives you pretty much every detail in different areas on where everything's located. You got your index of different Pokemon and such. Then you got whatever, I think this is the appendix for the whole guide. But yeah, this was straightforward. This guide actually, if you go to collect these on eBay, these things go for like $100 to $200. So these are very rare and expensive to come by. Luckily, Tom had this in his possession, and I'm so glad that I was able to pick it up from him. And then finally, we also got World of Warcraft Cataclysm. So if you're into MMO RPGs, if you're into World of Warcraft, these guys can be a must if you're heavily into the game. Basically, each expansion comes with a game guide, so it gives you the lowdown on all the characters, gives you the lowdown on the game if you're brand new to the game, takes you through all the new quests, side quests, mini quests, all the new creatures, all the new characters and such. It's definitely a neat little dictionary for the game itself if you guys want to pick them up. These guides usually go for about $25. $25 for World of Warcraft, and then the expansion's only like $40 for the expansions for the games. And of course, they're done by BRADYGAMES. So I'm pretty sure when the next expansion comes out this summer, there will be another guide for it, unless they do something online for it as well. So what do you guys think? Do you guys still collect game guides? Do you still have anything rummaged around in your boxes or in your basement? Let us know. Have you ever used a game guide to complete a game? Have you ever used one in any sense, or just to pick it up and read it like I usually do? Let us know what your favorite game guides are. Let us know what you got in your collection. And guys, once again, thank you for taking a look at our video today. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. If you guys want to check out our merch store and our sponsor, links for those are down below, also in the description section. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, catch you in the next one.